Hello, my name is King Link, and today we're doing a preview of Druidstone, the Secret of Menhir Forest. Trust me, I actually need to look that up. I did not memorize that whole name. But this is actually from Ctrl Alt Ninja, and I do need a little disclosure here. I reached out to Ctrl Alt Ninja, asked for a review copy. They quickly gave me one, so that's awesome. And this game just came out. I'm playing this within the first week. I actually played this like 2 nights after it came out, but it's really good. We will talk much more about the game, obviously. Quickly in the options, there's not much here. It looks kind of sparse, and it is, but that's partially because of the style of game, and it's... I really like this game. It does remind me a lot of... Honestly, I originally said Disgaea and XCOM 2, and it still does remind me of those games, but it also reminds me of Into the Breach. And the big difference there is XCOM and Disgaea have these, complex does it hit. Into the Breach and this game, 100% hit rates. If you do an attack that should hit someone, it's going to hit. Yeah. There's no randomness in this game at all, which is actually kind of nice. And you will see it also uses more stage-based stuff than, well, we'll talk about the stages in a minute. But yeah, you get a nice little story in most of the levels. And you see there, I'm jumping in. The tutorial's on the left side. You can, of course, read that at your leisure if I don't click away too fast. I'm just going to play with... I'm just looking at the abilities at the bottom. And each ability here, I've actually used multiple times. The abilities in this game are really important to how your gameplay goes. That said, a big piece of it is going to be movement and then attacks. Yeah. So, we have the... I'm just going to call them man, woman, and child, even though the red guy is not even... I don't even think he's human. So, the woman actually uses a bow. You can actually change out weapons eventually. It takes a while, but you'll eventually get other weapons. But I don't use her ability here, which... mistake, but whatever. Yeah, don't re-equip. This Forest Remembers. This is one of the best items in the game. It actually is like, speaking of Into the Breach, it's undo turned, essentially. If you do something really stupid, which I tend to do at least once a match, so it's worthwhile. Oh, there she goes. She does attack. I thought I forgot to use her attack. The Forest Remembers, or whatever it's called, allows you to rewind the entire turn. So if you take some damage, if you do something really dumb, I've actually attacked my own characters. I've killed, actually, when I killed someone, I couldn't do that. When you attack your own characters or anything, you can actually rewind the entire turn. It's nice. On the other hand, yeah, if you saw that I did an undo move, that's also a really nice feature. And what's great is they have this system. I don't know if I pull one off here, but it's called a opportunity attack. If you're next to someone and you move away, you get hurt. Similarly, if you walk on certain things, you might injure yourself or so on. Undo move, actually, if you have not done an attack. Like, a lot of times I'm going to do a move and attack with my, with the man character. King Link is what his name's going to be. Yes. What's going on there is, you need line of sight to do an attack. So, yeah, I've moved away from a character, I've hurt myself, I've injured someone that I shouldn't have. Sorry, not injured. I moved into a place where I basically have hurt myself. So what I end up doing is I do an undo move, and it restores all your life. It's perfect. It's actually exactly what I would expect from an undo move. And there I go. Yes, I've taken damage. I'll be honest. The bonus objective here, I really like the bonus objectives in this game, but I've not been able to pull this first map off. I played it 3 times already, and I don't think it's possible to do without taking damage the first time you play. I think the first 2 missions are really clever. The first mission, I think you have to fail the bonus objective. Maybe there's a way around it, but I think the force that attacks you is too overwhelming that you will take damage. The second map we'll talk about when we get there, but there's a negative effect there that has to happen. And I believe both of these are done as a way to teach the player without directly teaching them. And if so, I applaud the studio because it's a really clever way to teach game mechanics. And then at the end of each battle, you basically get experience based on how many guys you kill, which is interesting because you can go into levels where respawning enemies happen and just keep killing them to rack it up. And then bonuses based on which objectives you beat. And they're going to talk a little bit here. The writing's actually really good. You have the Red Priest Acolyte, the one I call Child. Basically, we find out later, outside of this, that he was in the Red Priest Acolytes, and they were partying, they were good guys, and then they started killing people because it's part of their rituals, and he was just like, he bugged out. It's actually, stuff like that's really clever. There's a lot of good story development here. And then here we go, we get to name my first character, King Link. You actually get to name all 3 of these characters as you in the first 2 missions, so it's a clever way to do it. You start to get to know these characters, play with them, and then can name them. Of course, Scout was named Zelda, and the little guy we'll see, but he will be named Benny. He's kind of cute, small, and reminds me of my dog in that way. He was passed on a long time ago. Otherwise, there'd probably be 100 pictures of him on my site. I was a huge fan of my dog. So yeah, alright, so the second stage. So basically, this seems like it's a mission-based game, and kind of is. But what's great about this game is, right now, the game starts with the tutorial missions. And you basically have these 2 maps, side by side. Okay, perfect. The cancer system makes cancer manifest. The level becomes more difficult when you run out of time. If you see in the upper right, it's 7 rounds. I don't know if it's possible to beat this in 7 rounds. I've gotten very close. Maybe Perfect Play might be able to get it just at 7, but it is hard. It's clever. What I was saying before is it's clever because it does not have a way for you to beat this in under 7. So it teaches you bad stuff can happen, but you can still beat the level after these things. Bonus objectives might not always be achievable. Like in this one, both of these bonus objectives are achievable. I believe I get both of them. But it's just a very clever way to kind of teach a lot of game mechanics. Another one here, what I'm looking for is the ability to open both chests. I'm like, okay, I can get 2 chests in this level. I was trying to figure out where the second chest is. So I tried the spell book, didn't think that was a chest. Spell books are actually great to get another use of a ability. And you can actually boost it above where you started from. So what I was saying though is you have this ability to... the chest. So I was looking for the second chest. We'll see the chest later. Essentially, I'm not able to see the entire map at this time. And that's actually another really interesting and clever system that they're teaching in the tutorial without directly calling out, hey, you have to go look for everything. You have this ability. And they do a great job with teaching. Oh yeah, so I'm taking a look at Benny's abilities. He has this really cool one, Teleport. At first I was like, okay, I can just teleport with a person. The fact is you can actually teleport with any creature, it says. And what that means is if there's an enemy, just switch places with them. So yeah, and the fire. Do I use a focus here? So you have, so fire there has 3 charges, and then his force bolt has unlimited charges. So you do have limited attacks for certain abilities, and it's a great way to divide it up. No, he should have used that force bolt on the other guy. Oh well. And then there's really 3 types of loot that I've seen. The action point, that thing that gives you another attack. The health bar, you'll see eventually the red drops, and then the gold that can drop. So I think I was talking about something before I forgot, but let's just talk about the game in general. So as I was saying before, the tutorial mission has the first mission that we've already seen, this mission. Once you beat this mission, you actually get a little cutscene in another location, which I believe I show some of here. And then you get kicked out to the map. And that's it. Like, the map essentially is, hey, where do you want to go next? And you can go to any open area. You can even replay the tutorial missions. If you replay a mission, the game gives you a 50% XP penalty. So you basically, if you play it once, then you get 24 XP like you saw in the last map. The second time you'll get 12, and I think you can just replay it again and again for 12 XP. You get less, but it's a way to level up. It's a way to regain abilities. So if you didn't get everything, it's a way to get the bonus objectives that you didn't get. So if I didn't get the open all chests and get that little gem there, I could go back and replay it and get that eventually. And of course bring in more powerful characters, so it would be a little bit easier theoretically. To be honest, there's a lot of really hard challenges from what I've seen in this game. There's a mission where there's a basilisk that's chasing you, and I just ran. I had a great time playing that mission, but essentially there's also a challenge to beat the basilisk, and I'm like, okay, but I'm not doing it this time, and I just ran for my life. But later on, I'm going to go back, replay that mission, and get it. And actually another great thing is most of these missions are short. They're like 1 to 2 maps. I have not even seen I haven't seen any mission that needed 2 maps after this tutorial missions, and that's really cool. Each mission takes maybe, I've heard 15 to 30 minutes online. I'm seeing much closer to 15, which is fine. They're nice playable maps where you can get through. If you make a mistake, you can go replay them. You're not doing huge time investments, and it's actually really good. Other side of the problem, minor issue I have, is there's no way to save in the middle of a mission. So if, right now, let's say I'm going to do something a little bit dangerous, I have no way to actually pause here and go, okay, I want to try 2 different things. There's a save and exit feature, but it looks like it's a save state. There is a save at the beginning of each mission, which means you can rewind the mission at any time, which is nice, but there's no option to say, okay, I want to save at this point and do something different. But most of these missions aren't long enough to require that. Like, you're seeing me play this, and I think it takes, well, of course, it takes me about 30 minutes to do both of these missions. It takes me less than 10 for the first one. But a lot of this is just trying this out. I could probably do this mission in about 5 to 10 minutes now that I know what's going on and what each ability is, and I get more powerful and so on. But yeah, the fact that they do this game so modularly really works, because you don't have this huge investment in each map. If you mess up, you can rewind it. There's no penalties, so dying doesn't hurt you. Loot here, that dynamite, it's so much fun. I'll use it later. It's fun, but it's not guaranteed, just so you know. The dynamite doesn't always appear. And here I go again, trying to find the chest. You fool, it's in the cave. But yeah, so when I was replaying this game to get a few pictures, I actually got potion in that chest. I'm half and half on that. I mean, like, I really like the ability to have kind of almost a random pull, because your gameplay shouldn't be based on the chest, but at the same time, the dynamite here was so useful that it made this level a little bit easier, I think. And actually might make it so that I could have done it in 7 turns. Yeah, I'm figuring it out. You can go down in the cave. Good work, Link. The abilities in the game, though, are really cool. Like this dash ability I've used multiple times. You can knock him into things. You can push him into another enemy, and so on. He has a shift ability, that one that stays up. Yeah, he just saw these guys. Am I smart? Nope. There's a trick I could have done there. I could have seen these guys and then immediately did undo move. Yeah, I'm starting to realize my mistake. I think this might be where I used the Forest Remembers. Maybe not. But yeah, I could have looked down there, undid move, go back out and try to do it. The Fog of War style thing here does not happen on many maps. There's a lot of different maps where you're able to just basically see the entire map, play it. There's some maps where you have like a closed door. You know, the hidden information is not big, and I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, every map that I've played so far seems to be 100% visible, so you know exactly where all the enemies are. I'm sorry, 100% the same, so you know where all the enemies are. The only randomness I've seen so far, besides, like, I'm sure the players, the enemies' movements are a little bit different each time, optimal but different, is the chests. But like the enemies that are going to appear, the attacks that happen, all seem pre-planned. Even what happens, I believe, at when the cancer comes, I believe is predetermined. Yeah, see, I knocked him back for 3 damage and then into the wall for another damage, and now I have an extra attack ability. Take Whirlwind. Dang it. Sometimes you get that ability, the option to get +2. It's not dependent on ability, it's dependent on, okay, here's where I rewind the move. Yep. So as you saw, I saw what was there. I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I backed out, and I'm able to activate it without activating it. Really nice feature. The undo move is a solid addition to this game. I realized the chest is there. I've realized it's time to run from this guy. Now, the one thing I found out is that the undo move doesn't work like you would expect at times. So, if you make a move with character 1, switch to character 2, switch back to character 1, you're no longer able to undo that move. You have to stay on that character that you were using. Yep. There we go. And then if you see there, she actually gets this ability to sprint, which is an extra move. Really nice feature. Much of this game has like these really clever features. Oh, you know what I haven't talked about? A little late to do this, but I want to talk about Ctrl Alt Ninja. This is actually I don't know the whole story behind why, but this is actually a new company called Ctrl Alt Ninja. Oh, there we go. I just reverted the... So, if you saw there, I reverted it. Normally, it goes back to the beginning of that move. In this one case, for some reason, it actually reverted me to the move before the current time. Don't know what changed there, but that just happened. So, Ctrl Alt Ninja used to be... From what they've said, I don't know how true this is, but this is the entire same company as the guys who did Legend of Grimrock and Legend of Grimrock 2. I actually have a review of Legend of Grimrock 2. It's one of my favorite games. Yeah, I'd say favorite. Basically, I mean, the big thing about it is it's old school CRPG. I mean, if you're looking at this, you're probably interested in this because it has a little bit of an old school feel to it. This is very similar to... God, that was such a bad throw. I can just see like two other moves that I would have done instead. Old school CRPG where you're like walking around, almost Might and Magic style. Though they had more of an active gameplay there. Yeah, that... I've learned so much that I would not have done there. You learn through a lot of mistakes here, and the use of shift there probably was not the best. The use of the dynamite was awful. I only got one enemy. Whereas that mage there can actually go in and use a focus fire on it, which would have done the 3x3 damage grid. A lot of this game is about learning and exploring the game, but what's great is, at worst, I've only lost about 10 to 15 minutes, and most of the time I've learned while losing. There's not really a lot of points where you... Yeah, why are you attacking that thing? There's not a lot of points where you just lose a lot of progress, and since you can save in the middle and each map saves individually, you really only go back 1 or 2 turns. I am working on a very hard map now. I'm about 2 hours into the game, and there is one map that's challenging. Yeah, you can't run through that. But yeah, I mean, like, it's... Druidstone is really interesting. Much of what I'm showing here is exactly how the game is. You have a bunch of abilities, you use them in whatever order you want to do, and you essentially try to beat the enemies. I'm playing poorly here because it was my first time through. But it's... Yeah, there we go. So, opportunity hit. What just happened is essentially the character moved away from the rat. And yeah, perfect. I actually use undo move to revive the character because the opportunity attack happened during a move you can actually undo. There you go. So I'm trying to move away and I get hit. So I'm just practicing there, figuring out how this works. Yeah, perfect. She's immobile because she's on the pressure plate, so she's the one who's going to use the attack. Perfect, perfect. I'm really impressed by my own ability at playing this game. It's really wonderful and amazing. Yeah, much of the game is about doing damage. You don't get, from what I've seen so far, you don't get massively powerful, at least not later on. When you level up, you actually only get like a new ability or two. Sorry, one new ability. You get these power gems, like opening all the chests got me a power gem. You use that to power up your abilities, but it's not like big. And it's removable, so I could add pierce damage to my attack. I could add a use to the focus ability. I can add maybe a little bit of damage to something, but it would cost 2 gems, and so on. And it's all about maximizing the use of these gems, but you can always maneuver them around. Similarly, there's shops. That's what the money is for. There's actually a great mechanic with these shops where there's a bunch of boxes, as they call them, that's around the map, around other maps, and as you collect them, it makes the shops better. I'm not sure how many levels there are, actually, to be honest. There's 12 boxes, that's why I'm not talking about levels. But I've seen like 2 boxes in each level I've been in. Yeah, I've given up. What else? Here we go. So the cancer has come. And all of a sudden, voila. There's an all new enemies. I've only seen cancer come one time here. And you basically got all these new enemies. Those orbs of darkness scare me. The infector scares me. The Dark Knight here still scares me. I'm not messing with any of them. It's time to go. And there you go. So basically I got into the cursed state, but immediately won. Like I said, I think it's intentional that you have to do that. Maybe there's a way to get around it. Maybe you got lucky with dynamite sometime. But it's actually really clever. I do like these 2 missions. I like most of the missions in the game so far. None are too ridiculously hard. There was this give and take where you basically have to min-max. Like, as you saw there, I had to figure out how to beat the level, and you don't have to go out back and kill everyone. In fact, if one of your character dies, it's actually not a penalty to even that character. He doesn't lose experience from what I've seen. And there we are. And these guys will talk it out a little bit. Where are we on the time? Yeah, we're coming to the end. But yeah, it's all about give and take, figuring out the best way to do these maps. Like I said, it has a very Into the Breach feel. It has a very, especially Into the Breach, especially because you have to make these trade-offs of sometimes you can't save everyone. Sometimes someone's going to have to get knocked out, and it's okay. There's no penalty to it. Unlike Into the Breach, which did have it, but, so on. Versus XCOM, where it's so randomized, you can always win. Same thing with Disgaea. You can always win. You can always overpower the enemies. Here, I have a feeling you can level up a lot, but you never have, from what I've seen so far, you never have a can't win situation. You always feel like you have the ability. And here we go. We named the second character. But that's really how Druidstone seems to work. It seems you have all these levels that you can go and chase down and beat up. Each level is very different. I've seen one puzzle level which has no combat and actually is all about just moving characters around and touching these stones that move for you and trying to figure out a small puzzle. There was a level where I was running from monsters coming and chasing me. Like I said, the basilisk is coming. And what was clever about that level is I had to run from the basilisk. But in addition, there was this really old dude who I had to help. And what I ended up doing is you'd end up whistling and having him follow you. There's stuff like that which is different than what you were expecting. But like I said, but each level is kind of its own piece. There is an overarching story. There's the story of these bad guys have come. They're trying to get the arch druid and his daughter. You find out that they appear to have grabbed the arch druid. I don't know more than that. I'm actually working on the level where should get more story. But basically, the daughter, who has been our scout, she will be named Zelda, of course. Essentially, you know, basically, for whatever reason they want him. I don't know yet. I'm only 2 hours into the game, but a lot of these levels just end up being like, oh, we just got to go help these guys over here. There's the message carriers. We should save their babies. Stuff like that. And it's all these single-serving levels that work really well. They have this great feel, and I've been enjoying them. So with that said, I guess we've come to the end. I'm going to wrap it up here. First off, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. You know, I will cover this game eventually. If you've enjoyed this game, or enjoyed hearing me talk, consider subscribing. I very much appreciate it, and part of the reasons why I got this game is because of all my amazing subscribers, people who visit my site, and everything else. So I want to say personally thank you to all of you out there. If you're new, consider throwing a subscription my way. I appreciate that. If not, I understand too. And if you're interested in anything else, feel free to leave a comment down below and get in touch with me. Until next time, though, I'm King Link, and again, thank you very much for watching this one.